Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be having a little bit of a look at a new Lana card, except what's super weird, this isn't, well, it is a Lana card, but it's actually Lana's fishing rod. Which is weird. We don't usually give characters in Pokemon. I say we like I have anything to do with making the game. But the Pokemon Company don't usually give Pokemon cards to the paraphernalia of the characters in the game. They could have just gone for some kind of fishing rod, but instead they've specifically gone Lana's fishing rod. Which it's kind of interesting as a little curiosity thing. It seems like the kind of thing I'm going to be making a video on in 10 years' time. The best cards that were based on supporters but weren't actually supporters, etc. Hey-ho. We've got an item card here, and it's a really good item card. For some decks, this is going to be absolutely awesome. Now, our translation here comes from the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net. And apparently what it allows you to do is shuffle one Pokemon and one Pokemon tool from your discard pile back into your deck. It is both Pokemon recovery and Pokemon tool recovery. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we need both of them right now. There is a strong argument that one Pokemon recovered is not enough and one Pokemon tool recovered is not enough. But it's one of those situations where you can sit there arguing it's not enough, we'd like something better, but unless we have something better, it's kind of like grow up and use it. So if we start off with Pokemon Tool Recovery, this is something we haven't had in quite a long time. The last time we could actually recover Pokemon tools was when we had Eco Arm, which has already long since rotated. And Eco Arm Red shuffle 3 Pokemon tool cards from your discard pile into your deck. And for decks that relied on Pokemon tools, this was amazing. So there were bursting balloon decks that were popular for a little while. Greninja saw a little bit of love with bursting balloons, and I mean, personally, I played Garchomp with bursting balloons. It was a lot of fun. Weirdly, both from Breakpoint. But both of these were much better once you added in Eco Arm. Because the thing was that Bursting Balloon fell off at the end of your turn. It was a one-time deal and then it was over. And you're only allowed to actually play 4 of them in your deck. So you're in this awkward situation where you basically had 4 shots and it was gone. Well, then in came Eco Arm, and let's say you played 2 Eco Arm. Now, in terms of potentially 4 Bursting Balloon, we're playing 10 Bursting Balloon. And that, ladies and gentlemen, becomes very, very different indeed. Which then, I suppose, leads us to the obvious question of, alright then, what Pokemon tool cards do we have at the moment which would potentially lead us to wanting to recover them over and over again? Well, we've got an obvious parallel here with Giant Bomb. You see, Giant Bomb is, well, it's very much like Bursting Balloon. Giant Bomb is a Pokemon tool that falls off at the end of the turn, but if the Pokemon to which it is attached would take 180 damage or more, you place 10 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. It's pretty redonk, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do, well, frankly, a huge amount of damage. But it falls off at the end of your turn. That's a bit of a pain. But that's alright, because now you can get it back. Now, to be clear, using Lana's fishing rod to recover tools is nowhere near as good as recovering them with Eco Arm. Not even close. It is 1/3 as good, as is 33% as good. It is not that comparable. But it's the best we've got. Essentially, think about it as every Lana's fishing rod gives you an extra one of those tools. So now, instead of playing 4 Giant Bomb, if you're really relying on it, you can play 8 because of Lana's fishing rod. While we're talking about cards that get discarded at the end of the turn, how about Metal Core Barrier? Metal Core Barrier is a lovely tool that can only be attached to metal Pokemon, or is supposed to be more precise, only does anything if it's attached to metal Pokemon, and then you take 70 damage less from attacks. but it's discarded at the end of your opponent's turn. It's a one-shot thing. This lets you recover it. The other one that really comes to mind for me is Spell Tag. Spell Tag is a great card that when you attach it to a psychic Pokemon, and that psychic Pokemon is KO'd by damage from an attack, you get to put 4 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way that you like. So clearly, if you're going for a psychic deck, you may want to play 4 of these, and if you want to play more of them, I mean, to be fair, you should only ever get 5 of these working in a game, because when your 6th Pokemon is KO'd, that's it, game over, man, game over. But Lana can help you get the extra 1 here. And worth reminding ourselves at this point, the Field Blower is being rotated. Now, we're still going to have Faber, but that puts tools in the Lost Zone, so that's not really going to interact with Lana at all. But the fact of the matter is, tools are much less likely to get discarded now than they used to be. So now, we've got potentially safer tools than we've had for a long time, and we've got ways to recover tools that we haven't had for quite a while, and now these tool cards are becoming an awful lot better. There's not a million different tools that I'd really want to use this with. Certainly an extra choice band would be lovely, but that's rotating. Certainly something like Wishful Baton in a deck that really relies on it would be lovely, but that is also rotating. But essentially any tool you're relying on, this would be wonderful. But the thing is, this doesn't just recover tools. It also recovers a Pokemon. And look, recovering 1 Pokemon is again pretty weak sauce. It's not particularly great. I'm going to be honest with you. But again, instead of worrying about how good it is in a vacuum, let's look at it in terms of the cards we currently have available. We're losing Rescue Stretcher. Rescue Stretcher was the gold standard when it came to recovering Pokemon, 1 to your hand or 3 into your deck. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? All of that's irrelevant in a situation where we don't have Rescue Stretcher. So what do we have at the moment? We got Brock's Grit, and Brock's Grit is phenomenal. It gets 6 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy from your discard pile into your deck. I'm not going to try arguing that Brock's not a good card. Brock's is a great card for recovering Pokemon. If you're willing to use your supporter for the turn. And that's the big thing here. And let's face it, we've played plenty of cards in the past that got 1 Pokemon back as an item card. One that saw a lot of play was Pokemon Rescue. Pokemon Rescue was huge in a bunch of decks. Gyarados comes to mind here as just a really good use for this, because essentially Gyarados did 30 damage for each Magikarp in your discard pile, so you needed 3 Magikarp in your discard, 1 underneath your Gyarados, and then it needed to be recovered quickly. So Pokemon Rescue was great, though Pokemon Rescue did put it directly into your hand. We've also all been known on occasions to partake of Revive, which was a great item card. But again, Revive put them directly onto your bench. Although to be fair, that was also only a basic Pokemon. Pokemon Rescue just got any Pokemon back into your hand. And in terms of recovering Pokemon, this is weaker than Pokemon Rescue. No argument here. Pokemon Rescue is a better card. But again, we don't have Pokemon Rescue. And frankly, if you really want to recover the odd Pokemon, this is wonderful. If you're really relying on Jirachi in a deck and you're only playing 4 and you want to play more, this will help you get that extra Jirachi. If you're playing a Garchomp deck, and you're playing your 4 Garchomp and your 4 Gibble, and you're playing Rare Candy and all of that, you might need to recover some Pokemon. And yes, I'm sure you'll be playing a copy of Brock's Grit. Brock's Grit is wonderful for that one turn where you can go and get 2 of each of the evolution line back, or 3 Gibble and 3 Garchomp, or whatever it might be. But there are going to be turns where you don't have a Garchomp, but you've got a Gibble and a Rare Candy. Or there's going to be games where 2 or 3 of your Garchomp are prized, so you need to recover the first couple Garchomp a couple of times. We've all been there. This will help out beautifully. As a Pokemon Tool recovery card, it's not amazing, but it's the best we've got. As Pokemon recovery, it's not great, but it's the best we've got. It is essentially the best item-based alternative for each of these things, and for that alone, it makes it pretty gosh darn good. But do remember it's doing both of them. And that is something that does need to be remembered here. You're not just getting the Pokemon, you're not just getting the tool, you are getting both. And in a deck that doesn't rely on tools, meh, fine. But in any deck that's got a couple of tools you want to play, and any deck is going to want to recover Pokemon, this seems like an item card that's going to see play. I don't think it's going to be a staple in every deck, because I don't think it's really great at either of the things it does. But I think it's largely the best we've got, and I think doing both does make it pretty gosh darn good. So I'm going to be giving it 4 Wossies. I think it's a really good card. I think it's going to see a fair amount of play in a fair amount of decks, and that to me says 4 Wossie card. But I would very much like to know what you think about this. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wossie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WossiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.